With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey. This is a bunch of stuff, deal.
What does that mean, a bunch of stuff?
Well, it means it's simply inaccurate.
It's Irish.
It's Irish. It is. We Irish call it malarkey.
Thanks for the translation.
No,
Okay.
We Irish call it malarkey.
You know what this is? Yeah, and I reserve this word for those rare instances when it's truly deserved. This is malarkey.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Direct from the King Spring Studios in beautiful Smyrna, Georgia. This is a bunch of malarkey. Now, here's your host, the incredible Charlie McMahon.
Thank you to the legendary Scott Shannon, and thanks to all of you for tuning in to yet another episode of A Bunch of Malarkey. As we close out the month of February, we got that extra day, that leap day that we get every 4 years coming up on Saturday. Then we close out February, head into March. March coming in like a lion, they say, and out like a lamb, or is it the other way around? In like a lion, I believe, and then it goes out quietly. So March on the horizon, and with that, you can start thinking about spring now. Now's the time where you say March 21st, even though doesn't always warm up in all parts of the country on March 21st. You could start to say we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, especially in those areas of the country where winter, it snows, it's cold. We start to see the light at the end of the tunnel in a couple of weeks. St. Patrick's Day, first day of spring, yard work starting up again. Actually, I'm looking in the backyard earlier today. I have to mow the back lawn pretty soon. My back lawn is actually starting to grow pretty quickly. So it's right around the corner, folks. My weekends of just thinking about this podcast are coming to a very, very fast end. I'll be out in that yard doing yard work in no time, and in a couple of weeks, believe it or not, I believe it's the 8th of March, not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday, we put those clocks ahead. And you know what that's like, folks. You lose the hour. When you're over 40 for some reason, it takes about 3 weeks to recover from that. So a lot going on here. We got spring training baseball started, if you're a baseball fan. Hockey and basketball playoffs, still not close, but only a couple months away. So those seasons are starting to wind down way past the midpoint. So we're heading in the right direction if you like spring. We're bracing for pollen season here again in the south. In another 3 weeks, we start to see that pollen. We're already seeing budding on the trees. Then we start with the tornado season, March, April into May. And then we just sweat our asses off until November. So a lot to look forward to in other parts of the country if you like spring and summer. And I'm already looking forward to fall. I don't want to rush the year. I know we just got off the holidays and stuff, but spring is okay here. Summer's a little brutal. I like the fall here, and I like, basically September through the end of the year is my favorite time of the year. It used to be summer, but not so much anymore. So with spring on the horizon, just a couple of weeks away, if you can believe that, you may be thinking about spring cleaning. You know that time of the year where you say, let's have a garage sale, a yard sale, and you put an ad on Craigslist, and then all the weirdos show up to your house to sell stuff. You start thinking about cleaning things out, starting fresh, a fresh new start for the new season. Well, when you're going through your house, you never know what you might find. Things you forgot about in the garage, in the attic, in the basement. Well, something odd happened in where else, folks? In Florida, in Gainesville. This past Monday afternoon, a contractor inspecting the foundation of a Gainesville, Florida home made an unsettling discovery. He found 6 gallon-sized jars of preserved human tongues and tissue dating back to the 1960s, and they were stashed inside a crawl space of the house he was inspecting. He got very alarmed, and he rushed back out of the crawl space, and he called 911. But the evidence doesn't seem to point out to an occult, a ritual, or a killing rampage, or a serial killer. Authorities said on Tuesday, the tongues belonged to a retired professor from the University of Florida who had acquired them for legitimate research purposes and then forgotten all about them after his divorce. So he moved out of the house. Ronald Bowman, an oral pathologist, had been looking for a climate-controlled place to store his specimens when he stashed the jars in that very crawl space. 50 years later, his ex-wife, who still owns the house, decided to do a little bit of renovations. I'm going to maybe have the basement finished, whatever she was doing. Bowman, who was an expert in teeth, was hired as an assistant professor of oral medicine at the University of Florida's College of Dentistry back in 1971. He served on the school's faculty until 2002 and contributed to numerous scholarly articles. Scholarly. Tough word to say. I can pronounce most words, but some words I just stumble on. Similarly and scholarly. But early in his career, Bowman wanted to do research on thyroid conditions, so he collected these samples of tongues and thyroid tissues from facilities up in Virginia, Illinois, and Indiana, and brought them with him down to Gainesville, Florida, when he was hired by the university. To keep the specimens cool during the very hot summers in Florida, Bowman stored them in the crawl space of the ranch house that he purchased in the neighborhood just a few miles north of the campus. These days, purchasing human remains and storing them in your home is generally frowned upon within the academic community, but the labels on the jars mostly date back to the late 60s when things were, they were a bit different, and you could keep a few preserved tongues in your basement without raising an alarm. I don't know what the policies and laws would have been 50 years ago or whenever it was, but I could tell you that today, that's not something that would be permitted. Steve Orlando, a spokesperson for the University of Florida, said, "There are very strict federal and state laws as well as university policies that prohibit that. It would be neither appropriate nor legal for a faculty member or researcher to bring something like that home." In any case, Bowman never got a chance to experiment on the tongues. He simply got bogged down with other projects. With his work at the university and everything he was doing, he never got around to doing the additional research. By 1992, when Bowman and his wife divorced, he forgot all about the tongues and the jars hidden underneath the floorboards. According to the court records, he took his oak bookcases and stereo with him when he moved out, but forgot the tongues. The contractor's surprise discovery on Monday brought the memory back. Police say that Bowman's ex-wife confirmed his story and that they've sent the specimens to the medical examiner's office so that they can figure out who the remains came from and confirm they were indeed intended for research. We've got no indication that they were trying to hide anything from us or be deceptive about anything, Campos said. They've been forthcoming from the get-go. That's why our preliminary investigation, we don't think anything bad or criminal has occurred. We just need to verify everything. So you never know what you're going to find in that basement, especially if you're not the original owner of the house. You dig deep enough back there in the crawl space or in the attic, you never know what you're going to find tucked away. Remember in Christmas Vacation, he's stashing the gifts in the attic for Christmas, and he finds the Mother's Day present that he stashed that he forgot about back from 1983. So you never know what you're going to find when you do that spring cleaning. Now, on the flip side of spring cleaning, there's people who don't want to clean out. They want to bring more shit into their house. They want to go to garage sales. They want to be the one coming to your garage sale. They want to bring more stuff, more clutter into their basements, their attics, their crawl spaces, their garages. Well, a lot of people, like I said, go to these estate sales. It's a big thing. Antiquing, go to these antique shops, go on the Facebook. There's a million ways now, Facebook Marketplace, where you can buy anything that you're looking for. There's also people who dive in dumpsters. Now, we told you a story a couple of weeks ago about a woman who was searching in a clothing bin, one of those donation clothing bins, and apparently got trapped there for a couple of days in New Jersey and almost froze to death. Well, we've got a woman this week who went missing while dumpster diving, and she was found dead in a landfill. The remains of Stephanie Cox were found this past Monday. Police said she was last seen on January 30th. That same day, police in Burlington were told of an unattended vehicle in a shopping center. The car was owned by Stephanie Cox. She had been seen on surveillance video shopping at a discount store near the location where her car was found. Then she vanished. Investigators believe she went into a dumpster and never got out. A garbage truck emptied the container an hour after police think she climbed in. Police tracked the truck that emptied the dumpster to a landfill 80 miles north of the shopping center and started searching through the dump back on February 4th. Their search was delayed because of bad weather. They resumed the search this past Monday and found her remains. An autopsy has been scheduled to see how she died, but police want to remind people that it is not safe to dumpster dive. Now, they showed the picture of this dumpster on the website, on these news websites, this doesn't look like a dumpster that someone would have trouble getting out. There's no lock on it. So I'm thinking she didn't just fall in this dumpster. I mean, I'll follow up with you guys after I, see the autopsy, whatever. This doesn't look like a dumpster that you just fall in and can't get out. It's only a couple feet deep, and it's not that wide. It's got one of those flip tops. And if you just fell in, you could scream or yell. It's near a shopping center. Someone's going to hear you. So this seems a little strange to me. So I don't know, folks. We'll find out what happened to this woman who they claim died while dumpster diving. Now, also in a few weeks, when the warmer weather approaches, we get that extra hour of daylight, like I mentioned, which I think they should do away with. But we'll talk about that next week when we actually have to put the clocks ahead. But it'll be time to sit outside, barbecue, have a drink, listen to some music, have another drink, have a margarita, right? So, you have a few extra drinks, you're feeling a little tipsy, but I read a story this week that I never knew about this. Some people get drunk without drinking a drop of alcohol. This is a medical condition. It's a medical condition affecting people around the country. Hundreds of people around the world suffer from a condition called brewery syndrome. It's been featured on TV like The Good Doctor and Grey's Anatomy. I don't watch either show, so I wouldn't have seen it. Brewery syndrome is caused when a person has too much yeast in their stomach or in their intestines and eats a diet high in carbohydrates and sweets, which are the building blocks to make alcohol. And when they get that yeast overgrowth, some of the yeast ferments the carbohydrates into alcohol, and they get drunk without even having a drop of alcohol to drink. Stacy Mofey knows what it's like. As she said, she would be on the couch and would just come to, and she would yell out for her husband and said, I don't know what I've done for the last 3 hours. She would just black out. The Texas mother said for 10 years, doctors misdiagnosed what her condition was. She often would vomit for days and black out for hours. She even had seizures. She was taken to an emergency room, and they thought she had a seizure disorder, so they gave her Keppra, which may cause suicidal tendencies in a person who has no hope. Mofey said, we're talking eyes rolling in the back of my head, seeing fairies in the front yard, calling 911 on the fairies to come and take care of them. Stacy's husband said, Larry's his name. An emergency room doctor told Larry his wife was drunk and gave her a blood alcohol test. The number the doctor told him was through the roof, 0.543. He said, wait, 0.05? He says, no, 0.543. Larry said, a 150-pound woman would have to drink more than 20 12-ounce beers in 4 hours to get a blood alcohol level that high. Larry searched the house for empty bottles thinking his wife was an alcoholic. When he didn't find any, he jumped on the computer and discovered brewery syndrome. And this family, the Mofeys, aren't alone. There's a man here in Georgia. He said he feared for his life every day. His blood alcohol was 0.329. The husband now uses a breathalyzer 3 times a day as a precaution. He asks his wife to pick him up if he starts feeling symptoms. I say, come and get me. I don't want to kill anybody. Driving drunk is technically drunk. Many doctors don't know much about the brewery syndrome. There are currently none willing to treat it here in the Peach State of Georgia. And this man is hoping that a doctor will see this report and say, come on in and see me. Barbara Cordell knows exactly what they're going through. She says it was a nightmare. Her husband, Joe, had brewery syndrome. He was treated with an antifungal medication to control the yeast in his gut and is now considered to be cured. Stacy Mofey had a similar treatment. Cordell has a message for anyone who suspects something is wrong with their loved one. We know what you're going through. We're here for you for support. She started a Facebook group, which has close now to 300 members, including 5 here in Georgia. She also wrote a book about brewery syndrome to help patients and doctors better understand the disease. It's diagnosed by having the patient supervised for 24 hours by a medical professional to make sure they are not drinking alcohol, feeding the patient a high-carb meal, then testing their blood alcohol level. In addition to taking the antifungal drugs, the treatment includes eating a low-carb diet, cutting out sugar, and abstaining from alcohol. Many also take probiotics and supplements such as grape seed extract. So imagine that. You're sitting around, all of a sudden you feel like you're drunk, you haven't had a drink. It'd be a cheap date, you take out a girl with auto brewery syndrome, you wouldn't have to really buy her any drink. No, but seriously, this sounds like something that's crazy. Just get a 0.543. That's death, really. That's like 6-7 times the legal limit in most states. That's insanity, folks. So, auto brewery syndrome, very rare, but it's out there. Now, something that isn't rare, which is in the news every night now, is this coronavirus. We talked about it a few weeks ago. People think it's related to the beer. Here we go. Beer virus. But no, it's a virus that is going around many countries of the world. The epicenter of it is in China. Now, this virus made a man very unhappy in China this past week. He got so angry, he doused himself with gasoline and tied firecrackers around his waist when authorities canceled his birthday party amid a ban on public gatherings. The 59-year-old man wanted to hold a banquet with 10 tables in the southwest city of Chongqing, but local officials battling the epidemic put the kibosh on his plans, a state news agency reported on Wednesday. But when he failed to change the authorities' minds 2 days before the bash, he wrapped firecrackers around his body, poured gasoline on his chest, held up a lighter in an attempt to threaten them into agreeing to letting him have his birthday party. The actions prevented town and village officials from carrying out epidemic prevention and control work, the state news agency said, adding that 10 patients visiting a clinic on a lower level of a municipal building had also been affected. As a result of the man's selfish stunt, officials filed charges of disorderly behavior against him. Authorities have banned large gatherings, including banquets and parties, as they try to rein in the outbreak of coronavirus, which has killed more than 2,100 and infected more than 50,000 people in China. So you talk about someone who's pissed off, who wants that party at no cost. The guy was willing to light himself on fire with gasoline and firecrackers because they wouldn't let him have his birthday party out of fear. You know, these large gatherings, one person has it. You got 10 tables with 6 people, 60 people, you infect 60 people. So, you know, and I've seen in China where they just suspect you of having this virus. They come around with a truck with a metal box. You see that? You see how crazy that was on the news? They're rounding people up with these metal big boxes on the back of trucks and locking them in there, dragging them out of their houses. So I wouldn't mess around if I lived in China and insisting on a birthday party. God knows what they're going to do to the coronavirus birthday boy over there. So, folks, if that doesn't springboard us into our favorite segment of the week, what the hell will?
A bunch of malarkey.
Mutant of the Week.
Now here's Charlie.
Well, it doesn't get any closer than last week's vote by a margin of 1 vote. See, every vote counts. And you have to remember this now. We're in primary season, caucus season. We got a general election. The Senate's up for grabs. The House is up for grabs. You know, important voting, folks, is coming up this year. It's going on right now in certain parts of the country. But here at Bunch of Malarkey, the Mutant of the Week poll, it's pretty important, too. And by margin of 1 single vote this week, in a 53 to 47% margin, the feces flinging fiance, the woman who smeared dog feces on her fiance during a domestic incident, beat the budwanker, the guy watching porn and drinking beer in a public library in Cleveland or in Ohio somewhere. It was 53 to 47, 1 vote difference, 53 to 47%. So it was a real barn burner last week. So our feces flinging fiance is our Mutant of the Week, and she will wear the crown until one of these 2 nominees take it away from her based on your votes. Now, where do you vote for the Mutant of the Week? Our show grew again last week, so we have new listeners. So we say it every week. Go to our Facebook page, A Bunch of Malarkey. Of course, like the page. I've been putting the polls up on Monday night now. So on Monday night, Monday evening, the poll goes up. Give you guys a couple of days to listen to the podcast. You don't have to vote on Monday. You have 5 full days to vote. Goes up on Monday, ends midday on Saturday. 5.5 full days to vote. And you have to make your voices heard. And again, share. There's a little share button on everything I post on A Bunch of Malarkey. So share. Share the polls with your friends. Share the posting. Share. It's lovely to share, isn't it, folks? So here are our nominees for this week who are going to try to take the crown away from the feces flinging fiance. Got to go to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where a man was arrested after he allegedly kidnapped a woman and forced her to watch Roots, a 1977 miniseries about slavery in the United States. I remember watching Roots when I was a kid. Very, very well done miniseries. Cedar Rapids newspaper, the Gazette, reports Robert Lee Noy, he's 52, he was arrested on Monday. A lot of shit went down Monday. Everything I mentioned so far went down on Monday. A criminal complaint stated Noye, N-O-Y-E, forced the victim to watch the show, which is a 9-hour historical miniseries about slavery in the United States through the post-Civil War era, so she could better understand her racism. The complaint also stated that the suspect told the victim he would kill her and spread her body parts across Interstate 380 on the way to Chicago if she did not sit down and watch Roots. The Gazette reports Noy is charged with first-degree harassment and false imprisonment. So let's call him the Kunta Kinte Kidnapper. Now, Kunta Kinte is one of the main characters of Roots, so if you don't get that, Kunta Kinte Kidnapper is our first mutant nominee of the week, the man who kidnapped a woman and made her watch a 9-hour miniseries about slavery so he could point out her racism. Can't make this shit up, folks. Our second mutant nominee, we got to go up to Indiana, where crime is still not paying off for an Indiana man. His name is Donald Murray. He's 38. He's from Terre Haute, Indiana, who has a tattoo on his forehead that says crime pays. And he was arrested for the second time in 3 months after he led police on a chase Monday morning. In December, Murray was arrested when he allegedly led police in Terre Haute on a high-speed chase. Police said Murray was driving at night with his headlights off. The incident was caught on the television show Live PD and went viral. On Monday, Terre Haute police said Murray was charged with resisting law enforcement, reckless driving, possession of meth, maintaining a common nuisance, and auto theft. Murray was released on his own recognizance back in January for his December arrest. So he's back in jail, the guy with the crime pays tattoo on his forehead. So let's call him the ink-faced imbecile, the guy out of Indiana with the crime pays tattoo on his forehead who can't seem to stop getting arrested. So we got the ink-faced imbecile against the Kunta Kinte Kidnapper. Again, make your voices heard. Last week was just a 1-vote difference. Poll goes up Monday night, ends on Saturday. So you have 5 full days to make your voices heard. And again, share. Don't be afraid to share. What's that noise? Oh, that sound. That, my friends, is the sound of Sunday night anxiety. Now, if there's ever been a topic here on A Bunch of Malarkey that I could totally relate with, this would be in the top 2 or 3 that I've done. It's called Sunday night anxiety, the Sunday night blues, the Sunday night scaries, the Sunday night sads, the Sunday night dread. Whatever name you have for it, it's real, folks, and it affects more people than anyone could guess. There have been songs written about the dread of Monday. Manic Monday by the Bangles. I Don't Like Mondays by the Boomtown Rats. Monday, Monday by the Mamas and the Papas. Rainy Days and Mondays by the Carpenters. You get the idea. We dread Monday. We hate coming off the weekend, and we dread Monday. And that dread starts on Sundays. I remember this feeling of Sunday night anxiety and dreading Monday from my early elementary school days. Then it went on to my retail days, my corporate days, and even my parking lot days up until a couple of years ago. That Sunday night anxiety is real, folks. And research indicates that Sunday night dread starts out lighter on Sunday morning, then builds up throughout the day, culminating into heavy anxiety, irritability, headaches, depressed mood, and restless sleep by the early evening on Sunday. Now, I put up a poll. There's a method to my madness, folks. Usually, I'm giving you guys a hint of what's coming up on the show. And 67% of you say you have Sunday night anxiety, where 33% of the listeners who answered the poll said Sundays don't bother you too much. We even had one listener, Neil, who said that he Used to have it in his school days, but now he's cool with it. The Sundays don't bother him. So he got over his Sunday night anxiety, which is great. Some people do, some people don't. So 67 to 33% of people say they have Sunday anxiety on the poll, but it's even higher nationally. And it's linked to jobs. So I also asked you how many people like your job out there. 63% of you said you're not crazy about your job, but it's a paycheck. 37% of you said you love your job. So it's not always linked directly to job, but job has a lot to do with it, and we're going to get into that. But let's first talk about Sunday, the day of the week. If you're like a lot of people, you usually wake up feeling pretty great on Sunday morning. Just like the morning before, Saturday morning. You don't always have something to do or anywhere to be. So you ease into the day, maybe have coffee, read the paper, put on... My Saturday morning ritual is usually listening to the 80s countdown on Sirius XM, 80s on 8. I have certain routines on the weekends that we do. I prep my podcast, what you're listening to now, record the podcast, what you're listening to now. I have things I do on the weekends every single week. And on Sunday mornings, you can pull the covers back over your head and sink into your bed for a few more hours. You can maybe lace up your sneakers and go for a run or go to the gym without worrying about being late for work. On Sunday mornings during the winter, you may love brewing a big pot of coffee, lighting some candles, curling up on the couch with a book or the papers for a few hours. Then maybe you leisurely make breakfast, drink some coffee, watch some old movies or political shows. That's my Sunday morning routine, is Meet the Press. I watch CBS Sunday Morning. I watch Meet the Press. That's what I do when I get up. I have my coffee, my bialy or bagel, and that's my Sunday morning. Then maybe you later on meet up with a friend for lunch or brunch or a yoga class or something like that. And you're having a pretty good day so far, right? Up until this point, Sunday sounded pretty good, pretty top notch, right? But around 4 p.m., 5 p.m., something starts to change. It starts to shift. You start to feel a vague anxiety. And you start thinking to yourself, what's up with this weekend? Bullshit only being 2 days. Then a million thoughts start to flood your brain. And none of them are good, folks. First, you may start to relive the weekend in your mind, thinking of time you may have wasted, opportunities you may have missed. You know, those opportunities that only 2 days off afford you. You think to yourself, oh shit, I forgot to organize my closet. That was on my list. Should I make a to-do list this week so I don't fall short again next weekend? I'm so freaking lazy. Did I really need to have 3 glasses of wine on Friday night and sleep all day or half the day on Saturday? Oh, I promised myself I'd be drinking a little bit less this year. Oh, I spent too much money this weekend. I should have never went out to dinner Saturday night. God, I'm such a mess. I can't do anything right. Even if you're lucky enough not to hate your job, Sunday nights are still rough. In fact, new research from the Sleep Judge, which is an organization that helps people get a good night's sleep, showed that an astonishing 81% of workers answered yes to the following question. Do you experience elevated anxiety on Sunday in anticipation of Monday? So that's even higher than our poll, where 67% of you said you have Sunday anxiety. The national level is 81% of people have Sunday anxiety. It's about work to a degree and about the relationship we have with our jobs more than anything else, but it's more than that. You know that sad letdown feeling you get at the end of a really great vacation? You know, you go to Disney World with your family, Aruba, wherever you go. A mini version of that feeling you get at the end of a really great vacation happens every single Sunday night for a lot of people. Here's the thing. A lot of the happiness you get out of your vacation comes from the anticipation, and the same can be said for your weekends. Think about how happy you feel on Friday. When you get up on Friday morning, even if you still have a full work day ahead of you on Friday, you always have some awesome plans for the weekend, or even if you're not doing anything, even if you're just sleeping in and eating all weekend, which, hey, sounds pretty damn good to me, you're still full of anticipation of having those 2 days off. On Sunday nights, you come down from that free and anticipation feeling, that high that you're on, and now you're anticipating being chained to your desk, waking up early, combing through mountains of emails. Freedom never felt more far away than it does on Sunday nights. On top of that, you're not really doing anything on Sunday night. You're regimented. I got to get ready for work. I got to get mentally ready. I got to get to bed early. Most people leave Sunday nights open to relax before the long week ahead. And that might be a mistake, which I'll get into in just a few minutes. And I'll offer up some strategies on how to beat the Sunday night blues, anxiety, dread, or whatnot. But first, let's talk about the jitters on Sunday night in an overall perspective. Now, the jitters on Sunday night might not be a huge dilemma. However, a problem develops when these feelings become more than just passing thoughts in your mind. An increasing number of people are experiencing severe anxiety each week, which can be both overwhelming and difficult to control. Their weekends are ruined because Sunday is spent wrapped in negative feelings, already putting a damper on the week ahead. This type of intense emotion on a regular basis can have a significant impact, resulting in a range of symptoms such as lack of sleep or chronic depression. These higher levels of anxiety on Sundays can impact multiple aspects of your life, including your sleep and your moods. If you've ever felt a sense of dread hit you mid-afternoon on a Sunday, or stayed up staring at the ceiling on a Sunday night, thinking of all the things that are waiting for you when you get to work in the morning, you know what I'm talking about. There are a multitude of reasons why you may feel anxious about returning to work on Monday. It could be a dislike of your position, conflict with a colleague, or general stress stemming from pressure to perform at your job. Jobs are becoming more and more demanding with tight deadlines, greater responsibilities, so this problem is not going away very easily. Surprisingly, the sense of dread is not primarily attributed to a poor relationship with a boss. In fact, people who reported having a good relationship with their manager reported having even higher anxiety than those who had a poor relationship with their manager. 81% versus 75%. Counterintuitive at first, but the study showed it's because a good boss-employee relationship often adds up to more work and higher expectations for the employee. So while a bad boss certainly contributes to anxiety, other things contribute even more, like workload, pressure to perform, and the fear of being laid off, losing your job. And the effect is fairly universal across different profession types. Although the study showed that the three highest professions professing Sunday night anxiety as education, legal, and finance, and insurance, 86% versus 81% average, with marketing, advertising, and IT following closely at 85%. So if you're in the education, legal, and finance/insurance business, you're probably experiencing it the most at 86%. Against that 81% average. And then marketing and advertising and IT follow close at 85%, which is also above the average. Another surprise from the study, people who work remotely reported an even higher rate of stress and anxiety on Sunday night, 84%. The research states it is due to interruptions, isolation, and longer work hours bleeding into their personal life. Now, we talked about this last week, about busyness and all that. So you're probably saying, okay, Charlie, you laid it out for us. 81% of the population on average is experiencing this Sunday night anxiety. You've experienced it, Charlie. What can we do about it? What can we do to eliminate the anxiety, the dread, and all that? Well, there are some things you can do. First, you need to sense what the sense of dread is telling you. Work can be so much more than just work and simply shouldn't be producing a sense of foreboding for any length of time. Sure, we all feel work-related anxiety occasionally, but don't accept it as okay. Take a hard, honest look at what's behind the feeling. Is it signaling that you don't love what you do anymore? That you long to pursue a different passion, that you just aren't cut out for the job that has forced you into behaviors you don't like seeking the approval of others too much? The temptation to accept it just as Sunday night malaise is too common. We just accept it. You deserve a Sunday night good feeling, not a sinking feeling. You need to surge on Sunday nights, not sink. Now consider a change. If you hate your job and find it is causing you anxiety, then consider moving on. As cliched as it may sound, doing something you love is very important for your happiness. It has been found that 64% of people would rather take a poorly paid job they love than one which pays more but does not make them happy. Of course, it's not always that easy. There are financial implications to consider, and making sure you can still make ends meet in a job you're more passionate about. But being in a job you like will help you keep motivated and looking forward to going to work on Mondays. Now, you need to learn to identify and then call out your anxious thoughts on Sunday nights. Take note of those specific thoughts on Sunday night and see what patterns you spot. A couple of common thoughts are, I'm so behind on X, I should have gotten more done last week. And I'm so dreading that big nerve-wracking meeting, presentation, appointment that you have maybe on Wednesday. This week is gonna suck. Okay, first, if you find yourself feeling bad about procrastinating last week for not setting yourself up for success or an easier week ahead, instead of wishing you can go back and change the past, channel that anxious energy into having a more productive start to the week and tell yourself that you'll make that big task a priority. The same thing goes for making premature assumptions that the week isn't going to be good. Chances are that if you've been in a similar situation before and ended up doing perfectly fine, so you have to tell yourself, I felt this way last Sunday night and the Sunday night before that, and it turned out okay. So you just have to remember all that anxiety you've had in previous Sunday nights. What was it for? When you got to your desk on Monday, it was the same shit as always. Our inner critic can seem even louder on Sunday. So go easy on yourself and remind yourself that having these types of anxious thoughts is pretty normal. 81% of the population is feeling it with you. And they're just that. They're anxious thoughts. Because the way we start our day generally influences how we feel the rest of the day, make it a Sunday habit to call out or challenge each negative thought with a positive one. For example, give yourself a mini pep talk by saying something like, all right, Charlie, I've done this before, and I got this. You're just anxious because you want to do a good job, and you will. Come up with your own mantra or your own line that resonates specifically with you. A big one, don't bring home work on the weekends. Taking a break from your work is critical, folks. Yes, you know on Sunday night you still have to go back at it tomorrow morning. But a weekend pursuing other interests will charge your tank enough to cope with that. What's interesting about it is a study shows that those who bring home weekend work, at least occasionally, are significantly more likely to feel that Sunday night anxiety than those who never bring work home on the weekends. So you may want to cut out bringing shit home on the weekends. Do the things you enjoy. Exercise, watch TV, movies, entertainment, go to a concert, spending time with your family and friends are on the top of the effective remedies list by the study participants for minimizing that Sunday dread feeling. Giving your brain a break and taking time to reflect and put things in perspective is critical. Play a different minds movie. The Sunday night movie of the week stars you, and it's often an imagination of all the things that can go wrong in the upcoming week. Think of it the way a successful athlete approaches an upcoming sporting event that they may be a little worried about. Almost like playing a movie in their mind of the event. They imagine feeling strong, confident, and calm. If we all did this instead of imagining what could go wrong, we'd feel a lot more relaxed going into Monday morning or going into that important presentation. Pay attention to the message behind the dread and put it to work for you so that work can work for you. Another one is make a short to-do list on Sunday. It's a good strategy that can help deal with anxious feelings on Sunday. It's just simply writing out a to-do list for your Monday or upcoming work week if you're feeling really ambitious. But even writing just a few things down that you'd like to knock off on Monday, like replying to emails, going grocery shopping after work, calling your mom, whatever you want to do on Monday, it can help you get into the week with a plan and start you off on a productive note. Your to-do list doesn't have to be exhaustive unless you'd like to map out more of your week in detail. That's your choice. But putting together to-dos on paper can help alleviate some of the stress by getting them off your mind and onto a piece of paper. This acknowledgement is really you taking a small, actionable step. Seeing your tasks on the paper can also help you get organized and put proper thought into how to check items off in an efficient way. Ask yourself questions like, which of these tasks is the easiest and can be done over coffee first thing in the morning? Which task will require the most time? And you'll notice that when you see your Monday to-do list spelled out in front of you, it's often not as overwhelming as you have hyped it up in your mind. Try to remember to write your to-do list Sunday nights, shortly before you go to bed, in an effort to declutter your mind right before trying to fall asleep. If it's on paper, you're not going to forget it, and you have permission to stop thinking about it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Sunday night, in addition to that anxiety, always the worst night of sleep because of all that anxiety and anticipation, all those things going through your mind. If they're on paper, you may look at it and say, wow, this isn't as overwhelming as my mind's making it out to be. So make that little list Sunday afternoon or right before bed, they're suggesting, the experts are saying, because it'll declutter your mind and help you fall asleep on Sunday night. You can even take it one step further. Consider a to-do list at the end of the day on Friday by organizing your thoughts. The first day of the week can be a bit busy and overwhelming, and it can be difficult to get back into the swing of things. We're often bombarded with new information, new tasks, and developments before we can even start to think about what happened last week. The best way to overcome this is to plan ahead. It's understandable you might not want to wait around on Friday at 5 o'clock to put up a list, but it might be beneficial to you to take 5 minutes out at the end of your workday on Friday to organize your workload for your next day in the office on Monday, and it prepares yourself for Monday morning. Have a recap on what you have achieved and make a to-do list for any outstanding tasks. This will help refresh your memory on Monday so you don't feel like you're at a loss or can't remember. You come in, the list is waiting for you, you're organized and ready to go on Monday morning. So taking that extra few minutes out on Friday at the end of the day, or even start it at 4:30 on a Friday, the last half hour, start organizing your wrap it up for that week and start making a plan for the following week so you can rest your mind on the weekend. Plan a semi-productive Sunday morning. There's a notion that Sundays are meant to be lazy, and many people turn off their alarms and sleep in. When you do this, you may actually set yourself up for a harder time falling asleep when your normal bedtime approaches. You sleep all day Sunday, and you're not tired when it's time to go to bed on Sunday, when you have to get up at 5, 6 in the morning. Try to keep Sunday a bit more structured by waking up at a time that's pretty close to your normal wake-up time during the week. By the way, maintaining a close to a consistent wake time as possible all week is actually what sleep experts recommend you do. So sleeping in as much as you may need the rest actually may be a detriment to you in trying to fall asleep on Sunday night. Then try to schedule a morning activity on Sunday, like a workout or going to church or something that you like to do to force yourself out of bed, which makes the routine of waking up early on Monday a little bit easier. Also, get in bed at an appropriate time to ensure a good night's rest, but you already know that. Big one is to get off your computer and your smartphone. Now, we all understand the urge to check email, to wrap your head around what you're walking into on Monday morning, but if the act of checking work email stresses you out, set boundaries on how often you check. For instance, maybe you allow yourself to check email for 10 or 15 minutes after breakfast on Sunday to avoid any surprises at the beginning of the week, but that's your only email window you should allow yourself for the day. Passively scrolling through social media during downtime on Sundays can also make you feel bummed out. Comparison on platforms like Instagram is a natural impulse, yes. But whenever you scroll through social media because you are bored on a Sunday, you may find yourself comparing yourself to others, especially when you see pictures of people on vacation or doing things while you're just sitting on your couch. There's a sense of, oh, that person has a better weekend than I did, and it can leave a person feeling like they missed out on an opportunity or didn't properly take advantage of their weekend or free time. Of course it isn't true. Weekends are for you to spend how you see fit and do what makes you happy. So be mindful of any smartphone use. If the social media impacts you heavily on Sundays, try using an app that helps you monitor how much time you've been on social media and can also block apps for you when you want a break. Try using social media more purposefully, using it to allow and keep in touch with friends and family, like the real friends and family, not to follow endless influencer accounts whose highlight reels make you envious and can ultimately help improve how you feel on Sunday. So stay away from comparing yourself, scrolling, seeing what everybody else is doing. And another smartphone tip, Start enforcing a strategy of putting away your phone a full hour before bed. You'll discover that this super simple technique, even though it can be tough to keep your hands off of it, will improve your sleep immensely, especially on Sunday night. Now, you want to schedule fun activities and self-care. We talked about self-care a bit last week in our Busy Braggers episode. You want to schedule those fun activities and self-care for during the week. You got to leave yourself something to look forward to. It can't always be, I can't wait until Friday or next weekend. You got to schedule little thresholds throughout the week that you look forward to. In other words, make the difference between a Monday and a Friday feel slightly less extreme. Why save all the fun and enjoyment for the end of the week? The work week is much more tolerable if you have little perks on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening, which might be anything from going out to dinner with your friends, or watching a guilty pleasure reality TV show on a particular night, go on a date night. You can go as far as noting these things on your calendar so you treat self-care time as important as appointments, meetings, and other obligations. So have these little benchmarks throughout the week that help you have something to look forward to. Again, that's a big gap between Monday and Friday. So have something to do Tuesday night. Even if it's go out for a drink after work, have a date night, go to a movie, do something throughout the week that's doesn't have that big abyss between Sunday night and Friday. Another thing, we all have that close work friend or two. We have like a little tribe at work that we all can relate to. We laugh about the ridiculous things that go on in the office. Get together with a close work friend for a Sunday lunch. Having a work friend or two that you can really open up with about your worries, about your job, or anything work-related, and vice versa. You want to be a good listener as well. It's very helpful. If there is someone at the office who knows about your work anxiety, go for a Sunday walk, get a cup of coffee, or even call them up on the telephone. Having someone that can relate will ease anxiety and give you that we're in it together feeling. Again, if they can't get together, give them a call. You want to kick the bottle on Sundays. It's widely believed that alcohol is a good sedative, which leads many people to be self-medicating on Sunday night to calm their nerves. However, it's only a short-term solution. Alcohol will mask the anxiety at the time, but when the effects wear off, negative emotions intensify. Try to limit alcohol intake on Sunday nights. You'll thank yourself on Monday morning. You want to try to get excited for Monday. Monday's always seen as the day we must just get through, and there's no fun stuff happening on Monday. It's just a day of one of the steps to get to Friday. Instead, give yourself something to look forward to on Monday. Wear a brand new outfit you bought. Organize a lunch with a coworker or a friend. Or plan something fun after work. This will change your mindset and give you something positive to think about and look forward to on Monday. This is a big one. You have to drop the Sunday night routine. Change it up so you don't associate with it being Sunday night. Now, if there's anything that's ever helped me with Sunday night anxiety, folks, it's that. When I lived in Long Beach, New York, I would take walks on the beach or on the boardwalk on Sunday night. Don't treat it like Sunday night, because it was drilled in my head as a kid, and you heard the 60 Minutes clock. It was the same routine every Sunday night. You got to get ready for school. 60 Minutes clock on in the background, running around, taking baths, and getting books ready. And it was that drill sergeant drilled in your head that all my life I associated with Sunday night. But when I started doing things on Sunday night, taking a walk down by the beach, going to a movie, doing something different on Sunday night so it doesn't feel like Sunday night, that takes half the stress away. Ask a friend if they want to grab a drink, maybe one. The alcohol is not good on Sunday night because there's nothing worse than being hungover on a Monday morning, although I don't think I've ever been hungover on a Monday morning. Make a date night with your significant other. Keep it relaxed. Do something. Take a bath. Light candles. Meditate. Take a late yoga class. Take a long walk. Go to a movie. Trick your mind into thinking it's not Sunday night. And I can't tell you how much that helps. So don't get into that regimen. Oh, it's Sunday night. I got to get everything ready. Got to get my... just treat it as any other night because you psych yourself out mentally. And, it's really... A lot of this is mental. You have to remember, Monday isn't so bad. You survived it how many times? How many Mondays have you survived? You're going to survive it again. Think of last Monday and the Monday before that. You made it. Think about how soon that anxiety wears off once you get to work and get settled. Then you feel like you never left. You feel like you've been there since Friday. It's all a mental buildup. By the time you're sitting at your desk, drinking coffee and doing your work on Monday morning, all your anxious Sunday night thoughts will probably seem pretty irrational. Sunday night sadness and anxiety may be common, but we don't have to live with them, folks. And I hope what I talked about today can help alleviate that. So long, Sunday Scaries, Sunday sadness, Sunday anxiety. So let me know if you try any of these, what we talked about, things that you can do to eliminate that Sunday night anxiety and sadness. It is real, folks. And again, we grew up in a house where I don't understand when you're in third grade, when my mother would tell me, you got to get ready for school tomorrow. What am I getting ready for? Cut and paste? What was I getting ready for? And it ruined, I'm telling you, it had an effect on my life up until recently. Even when I don't have anything to do on Monday now, don't have a place to be, I still have that feeling of Sunday night. So that's why you have to do some of the things I mentioned, and you have to break away from that routine. I don't know what my mom was talking about when I was in second grade, telling me I have to get ready for school the next day. What was I getting ready for? I was going to get on the bus like any other day. What was I getting ready for? Cut and paste? I was mentally preparing myself to learn how to write cursive. I was getting in a mode like the Karate Kid before he breaks the wood block. It was such... don't do it to your kids, folks. If you have kids, don't put them in this zone on Sunday night and make them so fucking anxious come Monday. It's the worst feeling in the world. Don't do it to your kids. Let them feel like Sunday nights, like a Wednesday night. Are you that crazy on a Wednesday night with them? That's what I'm saying. My mother never said to me on Wednesday night, when there was homework and shit, I did my homework. I was a good student, but she never said, you got to get ready for school tomorrow. You know, on a Wednesday night, it was always something about Sunday with the 60 minutes clock ticking and all the bullshit. It was like chaos to get ready for school on Monday. Don't do it to your kids, folks. That's all I can say. It'll scar them for life. And I have enough things that she did that I'm scarred for. So don't fuck with your kids on Sunday night. Treat it like a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. And if you're an adult that went through what I went through as a kid with all this anxiety on Sunday night, I gave you some good pointers on how to get over it. Rewind it. Go over them again and let me know if they are working for you, because, 67% of you said you have Sunday night anxiety. So I hope this podcast, again, this was a topic that meant a lot to me because I've been through this. I know my sister still goes through it. I'm not sure my brother does anymore. I think he got over it. And a lot of the listeners said they have it. A couple of them said that they got over it, so good for you. But 67% of people that polled on the Bunch of Malarkey poll said they have Sunday night anxiety. So I hope this helps. 81% nationwide. So let's all overcome this craziness together, okay, folks? So, folks, where are we found? Now, we are on some extra platforms now. We're all over the place now. A Bunch of Malarkey can't be stopped. We're on iTunes. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Radio Public, Radio.com, Stitcher, CastBox, YouTube, and now we're on Deezer and Pocket Casts, a couple more podcast platforms. And of course, you can tell your Amazon Echo device, your Alexa, you could say, Alexa, play the podcast A Bunch of Malarkey. She will start with the most current, and then you could say back if you want to go back an episode, or previous, you could say, or if you want to go forward, you go next, and it'll go to the next episode. So you have plenty of options to listen to us, plenty of platforms. Now, go to Patreon, Patreon. Many of you have. Patreon.com/A Bunch of Malarkey. Make a small monthly donation to ease my Sunday night anxiety. A lot of work goes into the show, a lot of hours, a lot of research, a lot of printing costs, a lot of, we got hosting fees, a lot of fees go into the show to bring you this show that may ease your Sunday night. That's why I'm putting the show up on Sunday night, if you haven't noticed. I've been putting it up on Sunday night because I want to give you something enjoyable to listen to on your Monday morning commute. I know Monday's the worst day for a lot of people. So by putting it up on Monday, so patreon.com/A Bunch of Malarkey, $1 a month, $2 a month, $3 a month, $4 a month, whatever you can afford, a couple of bucks a month. Keep the show going, ad-free, commercial-free, and alleviate some of the expenses that it costs to bring you this show every week. Mutant of the Week voting. Where do you vote? Again, Bunch of Malarkey page. Poll goes up Monday night, ends on Saturday. Make your voice heard. Tell a friend, and we'll get more votes every week. The voting has increased, so thank you for those who are sharing. For those of you who still haven't shared, come on. You just click the button, say, everybody. I even put a description of the mutants now in the posting, where I don't just say you have to listen to hear. I describe what they did. So even if someone doesn't go and listen to the show or the whole thing, they could still vote on who they think is a bigger mutant. So share that on your Facebook page. And thanks to all of you. And I notice it, folks, who share my post every week, share the show post, friends, family. I see you, and I thank you for that. And again, everybody who comments every week, votes, I put different polls up. You guys are great, the people who contribute every week. And again, a lot of people just want to listen to a podcast. They don't want to go to a social media page. I get it. You just want to listen, tune in next week. I get it. I'm not going to criticize you. But those fans who go and participate and really make the show interactive, I really can't thank you enough. So, folks, if you're sitting around on a Sunday night with a lot of anxiety, or if you just don't give a shit, you still have to beware whether you have anxiety or not, because it's a shit show out there. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been A Bunch of Malarkey. We hope you have a great, anxiety-free week, and we'll catch you next week. Take care, everybody.